Hello everybody, welcome to another rhetoric video, or if this is your first rhetoric video, welcome. There's a ton of these kind of videos on this channel, but this one is very special. Why is this video very special? Well, this is a request video, and I don't normally do requests. I usually kind of do my own thing whenever I feel about. What are some basic things about public speaking that anybody could incorporate into a presentation? That's what this video is about. So let's get into it. I think there are three things, if we're thinking about the 35,000 foot view of giving a presentation, there are three things that you have to accomplish in any presentation for it to be a good presentation. First is understanding. Second is feeling, or we could say emotion. And the third is agreement. So those are the three things. That's what you need to write down and have for your brainstorming session when you're putting your presentation together is, how did I achieve these three things? What things can I point to in my presentation that show me that I have met these markers, or I have accomplished these things? A presentation without those things, as I'll talk about at the end of the video, is not going to be a very successful presentation. Okay, details. What do I mean by understanding? Understanding is what 95% of videos here on YouTube or videos about public speaking help or presentational help are going to cover. They're going to be things like, do you have a well-designed visual aid? How's your outline? Is your outline pretty good? What about your information? Did you do good research? What about your pronunciation, your attire? This stuff is all the physical kind of components of presentation that people think are the art of presentation, but it goes well beyond that. This is only a third of it, but it's a very important third. Understanding means, are you speaking in a way that your audience can easily get what it is that you're trying to say? That it's familiar, that it's at a rate and a volume and a tone that they can comfortably take in. It's not too fast, it's not too slow, it's not of a pedantic attitude like I know more than you. And it's delivered in a kind of a conversational way that is appropriate to the venue, to whatever the norms of presentation are at that conference, in that profession, in that venue, for those kind of people that you're addressing. So keep that in mind. Pauses are an important part of this, are giving them time to digest things. Understanding is a level of comfort and a level of familiarity with the information you're presenting, away from their agreement with it or their feelings about it. Can they actually understand what it is you're saying? So think about language choices, think about vocabulary, and think about the normal ways that certain kinds of information are distributed in communication networks in that field, whatever those people are from, in that profession or in that venue. That's understanding. And I don't want to make it sound like that's a minimalistic point. That's the ideas of, are you an appropriate speaker for us at this time about this topic? That's what understanding is. If that's not there, you're in real trouble. So you want to make sure that those things are met. But it's only a third of the entire package. The second is one that makes people uncomfortable, which is feeling, emotion. In order for a speech to be effective, there has to be some emotional connection the audience has to what you've presented. This can be done in a number of ways. First of all, urgency. It's new, it's exciting. Excitement is a very powerful emotion. This is exciting, this is new, this is something very engaging, this is something that we only dreamed of. But maybe you're presenting news that isn't so good. Maybe you're presenting people some idea they have to change their comfortable ways and go into the unknown or the fearful. You can get some resonance of saying, look, the unknown is very scary, but let me talk about different ways we can feel about the unknown. Maybe the unknown is potential. Maybe the unknown is a chance to grow. Maybe the unknown or the unfamiliar is a place where we can reaffirm our commitment to each other and to what this organization stands for. These are all the things I talk about emotion. We're not just talking about fear appeals, pity appeals, love or pleasure or hate or disgust. I mean, those are on the table. Those are all very important, very good emotions to invoke in a presentation. But I'm also talking about things like excitement, potential, the unknown, what we're fearful of, or what might be uncertain. Those things can be used, and what they do is they give the audience a chance to say, wow, I really like the attitude that the speaker has towards this information, or that attitude is kind of the way I feel about it too. This is what rhetorical theorist Kenneth Burke called identification, which is the feeling that you are part of something is the root of a lot of persuasion and a lot of information sharing. At this point, I think I'll probably make this radical claim. I don't think there's any such thing as an informative presentation as a distinct from a persuasive presentation. When you think about it, an informative presentation means I think this information is very important for you to know. And anytime a speaker is speaking, they have selected a bunch of information that out of a large amount of research out there on any topic, there's more than we could possibly know on just about any topic. And an expert has selected for their short presentation, most presentations are 8 to 10 minutes max, they've selected the information they think is most vital. So there's already a persuasive move happening there. It's not objective, it's not neutral facts or anything like that. They have already made a selection, which means they're trying to convince you that this information is important. So think of it that way. Don't try to remain neutral. Don't try to provide everything. Provide what you think is the most important and explain why. Make that emotional connection to the audience. Like, this is vital because of how much we care about this industry. This is the information you need to know if you want to have a better year next year in your industry. So that's what I mean by emotion. Finally, agreement, which is tectonic. I think it's one of the biggest concepts in speech. And after what I just said about informative speaking, I think you probably realize that everything is persuasive, or you know that I think that. This means you need the audience to agree with you. You need them to think, hey, this information is important. I need to think about this. I need to bring this into my life. Now, a lot of times agreement's intimidating because we think about it in these weird, kind of fake, idealistic political terms that I'm going to give this amazing speech and it's going to change everybody's attitude and perception on something. Never, hardly ever the case. It's a political fantasy. Most of the time, speeches incrementally move us towards different kinds of ideas. They push us when we're close to the line, or they make us rethink something for a matter of days, weeks, months, and then reaffirm certain habits as we move towards an entirely new way of being and operating in the world. So think about your agreement ask in your speech as something very small, an attitude adjustment. What you want your audience to do is to change one small thing. Even if it is, I want you to attend to this information more frequently. I want you to keep this in mind as you go back to work this week. I want you to keep these simple facts, these things that I've talked to you about. We care about them. Here's the thing you need to understand. How are you going to adjust your daily life to take into account this stuff that you know? Here are some ways you can do that. So agreement doesn't have to be, I'm going to burn it all down and rebuild it, or you're going to dismiss all the things you believed are false. Now you have to come to my side and believe what I have to believe. It's not that adversarial. In fact, it shouldn't be thought of as adversarial at all. All you want is one small adjustment, just a few degrees off from where they are now. And that can be either change a habit, or change an approach, or think about these things the next time that you X. That can be agreement too. That's an essential part of speech is, what do you want the audience to do with what it is that you've just told them? Okay, now you have the three pieces. What happens when one is missing? Let's go over some scenarios. Understanding, emotion, agreement. What happens if we don't have agreement? We have understanding and emotion, which means they get what you're saying and they feel strongly about it, but now there's nothing to do. What are they supposed to do about it? They could feel overwhelmed. They could feel like they don't have any agency or any power. That's a terrible way to feel, is to get somebody really passionate about something and understand it and then say, well, what can we do? There's nothing that can be done? That's terrible. So this is a very negative result. You don't want that result. Understanding, emotion, and agreement. Let's say that you just have emotion and agreement. Well, what are you going to get with that? You're going to get a lot of people doing a lot of different things. You're going to get kind of the shotgun effect of everybody being very emotionally charged up and wanting to act and change things, but there's going to be no consistency, and that could come back to hurt you in your position later when people encounter it and say, oh, it was that thing that Steve said. I love it. I'm going to do this. It kind of makes your position look pretty bad, and also could create counterproductive activity based purely on strong feelings. There needs to be understanding as the foundation of any action that people are motivated to take. So that can be a problem. Finally, the last one would be understanding and agreement, which is they get what you're saying and they think something should be done, but they just don't feel motivated to do it. There's no emotional investment. So they go, yeah, that's terrible. We really should do something about that. And then they go back to whatever they were doing before. So whatever it was they were doing before, they just continue to do it. They don't feel motivated to change. They don't feel any kind of emotional investment. So that's why you need all three. I hope this has been informative. I don't really do requests that often, but if you like this video, give a comment, ask a question about something. I'll make a follow-up video to this about any question I get. But that's the 35,000 foot, if you're looking out the airplane, kind of view of presentational speaking that I have. Looking forward to your questions, and I hope that you find this useful when you put together your own presentations.